Bada boom, bada bang, bada bop. Look at that thing, man. Woo! Alright, today we are breaking down the marathon training journey. I'm super excited to do this video, share how I was able to have such a strong performance and feel so great going into Chicago. And if you are interested in having a great marathon performance and learning from other people's journey, not just me, sign up for the Supwell app. You guys already know because I've been talking about it for so dang long. It's dang near a meme at this point. Supwell app, $1 a month. You might think I don't have my Supwell shirt on because it's cold. You're not. That's not right. These are race certified, by the way. I ran the Chicago Marathon in this. No chafing, 2:39 PR, baby. So Supwell racing shirts coming soon. Supwell app, $1 a month. Best hobby jogger community out there. Best place to buy, sell, and trade gently used running shoes. Best place to vibe out. Have a good time. Learn from others if you want to up your best. So with that, sign up for the Supwell app. $1 a month, $1 a month, $1 for a month, $1 a month. Enjoy today's video. Back outside, boys told us on the show, I'm ready to die. Back outside. Back outside. Yesterday was the first day back outside. Today is tomorrow from yesterday, so that means it's the second day back outside. Let's go. So 3 days post-race right now. Continuing to get some recovery mileage in. First day post-race, got 2 miles. Then yesterday, 6 miles. Today, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to go out there and run. But today I want to break down, not my training. I'm going to do a full training breakdown video at some point or multiple, diving deep into the science. I know these boys love the science. These boys love the science. A lot of science behind that 2:39 PR, baby. That's not today. I wanted to talk to you about the preparation and how I ran my best marathon in Chicago and some takeaways from the training block, the build that you all could put into your training. Takeaways that you all can use next time you are running a marathon or even for your fall marathon. And man, one of the biggest things I focused on, and as you guys all know, is mileage. Mileage, that's the theme of this channel. Mileage, getting the miles in, being consistent. Wow, it is cold. So one more thing I'll say about mileage, and the reason chasing mileage or having an ambitious weekly mileage target can be good is that it encourages consistency. So if you're running 40 miles a week on 5 days, and then you set a mileage target of 50 to 60, you're likely gonna bump up to 6 days a week or 7. And I don't actually take complete days off. What I do is I'll do a really light jog on Saturday morning, 30 minutes. And I've found having the consistency
running more frequently as a newer runner, it helps me feel a lot more efficient. And I'm not sure if there's any research on this, but my mechanics and my body's muscle memory, it feels like it fades so quickly. If I take 2 days off of running, as someone who's only been doing this for 4 years, 4.5 years, it feels like I forgot how to run. So running more frequently keeps the effort lower for me. And then of course, there's all the benefits of the aerobic gains on the cellular and molecular level, getting those good blood cells, the mitochondria strong, and overall making the body more efficient. So if you want to run your best marathon and you're not already running 6 days a week, that would be my target for you. Get up to 6 days a week, however long that takes, while still being able to stay healthy. That's key. So whatever you need to do to strengthen your body to hit that target, whether it's gym work, running your miles a lot more relaxed. And that was one of the benefits for me of taking a long time, a year, 18 months, of only focusing on mileage, not focusing on hitting a ton of crazy big workouts. I was able to run at 8:30 pace, 100 miles a week, 80 miles a week, at a much slower pace than I was capable of. I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but before I started training for marathons, and I'll see if I can find some data from the Nike Run Club app, but I would hit my everyday runs at 6:20, 6:30 pace, 4 miles. This is in 2022, before I ever ran for a marathon. And I would finish runs at 5:50 pace some days. So I gave up on pursuing speed entirely for the last 18 months, focused so much on mileage. And the capstone to all of that was I was able to extend my fastest aerobic pace, which was about 6 flat or 5:50, to be my marathon pace. And that took roughly 18 months to 2 years. So that's what mileage can do. Another benefit of high mileage, man. I'm out here, we just hit mile 1, 3 days post-race. I feel great. Of course I'm a little sore, but I've done so many 3-hour long runs that a 2-hour and 39-minute moderate effort, which is what a 240 or 239 marathon is. It's not all out because we can't sustain all out pace for nearly 3 hours. That's not a catastrophic event on the body. So the more that we run and the more time on feet our body is accustomed to, the faster recovery will be, which is awesome. And it's not just me, I said this yesterday too on my Strava. CJ Albertson, who finished top American at Chicago, he ran a 4-mile double after Chicago. He did a 30-mile double day. He said, bro, it's not a marathon PR. This is a 30-mile double run day test in the Brooks Hyperion Elite, in the Brooks Glycerin Max. I wonder what he did his double in. Maybe I'll DM him on Strava and ask. And he's also running New York. So it's not just me, man. I'm not the only mileage sicko out here. There's more of us. We're coming out of the shadows. So I was talking to my friend Dante after the race. He ran 356 sub 4 on Sunday, and he was saying the same thing, that he gets back out there running 2-3 days after, and we're the same age. We've been running for about the same amount of time, 4 or 5 years. And yes, we are young, so our bodies bounce back quicker, but the more experience you have, the better your body will tolerate the mileage. So it's not just because I'm running faster, I can recover faster. Even if you're running a 356, 430, if you prepared for it and you've run 5, 6, 7 days a week with appropriate recovery and nutrition, you can get back out here week after, do some walking, do some light jogging or biking, and have the body feeling good. The marathon doesn't need to be this catastrophic event. And man, that's what it felt like to me in 2022. That's why I took all of last year off. I was terrified of the marathon, what it represented, this notion of the wall. But after building my body up and my strength through the mileage, I was able to run a controlled race where I didn't need to go deep into the well or climb over the wall to hit my goal, which was an awesome feeling. I was able to run strong, run smooth, control my pace, not flame out, and not fade. I actually had a period in the race, mile 10 to maybe 10 to 12, where I felt a side stitch, and mile 12 to 14, where I felt my legs getting heavy and my glutes. And I had a few moments of doubt where I thought, hey, did I run too much mileage leading into the race? Do I need to do some more gym work to strengthen my buttocks? But you know what I said? We don't cramp, we don't fade. 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 And then we were cruising. So a big part of this is mindset too. I said this on Sunday, but if we put in the work, we have to believe in ourselves and show up appropriately confident, appropriately trained, appropriately confident, and then appropriately execute. So Charlotte 2022, why was it so bad? Like I said earlier, everything that could have went wrong leading up into it went wrong. So first, life stress. I hated my job. Worst job I ever had. Also highest paying job I ever had. So lesson, don't just chase money. But worst job I ever had. My boss and I just did not get along whatsoever. Just to give you an example of the differences in our personality, he complained to the company one time that his kids wouldn't eat Pop-Tarts for breakfast. So yeah, we were not on the same wavelength. Bad work environment. I was lost, looking for the next thing, in a really tough spot mentally about my career. So, I mean, that's not a small thing, right? That's, depending on how much we're working, 8 to 10 hours, for some people 12 to 14 hours of our day. And for the way my brain works, you guys know I don't turn off. So my job is what I do 24/7 and what I think about 24/7. So that was one thing. Horrible life stress. I was also doing CrossFit, which was awesome. I love CrossFit. Shout out to Train Matthews. But doing CrossFit and then training for a marathon, and I had a running coach who didn't quite get my strengths, my weaknesses, my capability, what I should and shouldn't do, and wanted me to change a lot of how I approached running at the time. That was another difficulty, and the compound effect of the CrossFit training with the running led me to my only athletic injury. And honestly, man, I think a lot of the stress built up to that as well. Running tight, not running free, feeling mentally horrible, and carrying that into my running too, and putting so much into I need to hit this goal because everything else in my life, or a lot of the big things going on in my life, are difficult. That's never good either, putting too much of ourselves onto a certain time goal. And this was the first block where I wanted to hit a goal, but it didn't feel like life or death, which is a delicate balance. I was saying this to Charlie last night. It's hard to thread that needle of, I'm gonna go hard, I'm gonna train for this, but if I miss it, who cares? Who cares? Not to say we're gonna minimize missing our goal, or it's okay to miss our goal. We wanna have a standard, but we also need to understand it's a privilege to get out here and run. And that's the bigger thing. So I've been able to do that this time around. Also with Charlotte, man, my Jeep got totaled 3 weeks into the race. So all this life stress, going through a tough period, looking for a new job, feeling directionless, and then my Jeep, which is my baby, somebody cut off Charlie. She got into a horrible accident with Reevesy in the car. I literally biked to the hospital. It was 1.5 miles away. Luckily, everyone was okay. But just life stress on top of life stress, injury, the accident, my Jeep, which was my baby, getting destroyed. That's a lot to take into a race. I mean, this time there was no life stress for this build. So all that to say is, I said this on Sunday, you gotta make it your day, but sometimes we also have to step back or step away and say, I'm not gonna go for a gigantic PR. I put myself through more stress right now, which is why I took a much more relaxed approach to my 249 earlier this year, leading up into it. It wasn't until the very end where I started putting pressure on myself, which was also a mistake. I was training by feel, doing workouts when I could, understanding that we have a newborn baby and a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, or at the time a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I'm gonna do what I can. It wasn't until the last week where I said, man, I wanna go for 245. I wanna see how fast I could go. And that was a mistake too. So I had 2 disappointing marathon builds leading up into this one, where I was able to learn a lot. What did work for me, what didn't work for me, physically, mentally, emotionally. When should I push during training? When should I pull back? And I was able to improve, iterate, make incremental changes to this system. I didn't do anything crazy. I really didn't this time around. It was just making small changes on the last 2 lessons, the last 2 disappointing ones. Shout out to my dog for not barking at me. Let's go. By the way, the injury, I know someone's gonna ask, weird IT band thing. The injury that I had in 2022, it was a weird IT band thing. Made my left knee hurt to run, hurt to bend that leg to walk. And the way I recovered from it was after the race, took a week or so off from running, did very easy mileage for the next 2 weeks. It still hurt at the beginning, getting back into it. But 2, 3, 4 weeks out, no pain. Also a lot less stress. I'd gotten a new job. I had that difficult marathon build behind me, and we were back on track. So man, I don't want to get too voodoo and stress is gonna make you injured, because I do think physical and mental are two distinct symptoms, but there was definitely a mental, emotional component to the difficulty of my running during that time. And putting the stress behind me made the running a lot more fun and a lot less painful. So whatever we want to call that, that's what it was. I don't know what's going on here. All right, I'm gonna go around this. This is a gated community. Please get the heck off my property. Versace? Versace? Versace, Versace. All right, mile 6 here. We're cruising. I know I talk a lot on this channel, jokingly and seriously, about vibes. Vibes. And we coined the MVP training system. It's built mileage, vibes, pace. But vibes are a real thing. Getting hit by a car is also a real thing. And I did not get hit by a car right there, thankfully. But what I put in the vibes category, so we talked about mileage, vibes. Feeling confident, feeling clear-headed, knowing our body. Knowing our body is a huge one. Knowing when to push in training and knowing when to pull back. That's something that has taken me a long time, 2 years, to understand. Which days should I go hard? Which days should I accumulate mileage and not worry about anything else? And also, understanding for me, when I have a bad workout, and for me, this has taken 2 years to learn, 24 months. When I have a bad workout, it's a bad workout. In the mile, win the mile, take a bad mile when we need to, take a bad workout when we need to, turn the page, move on. That was so hard for me to learn. In the last week, 9 days out from the race, I attempted a 10K time trial. My plan was to hold 5:20s or 5:30s. I attempted it one day, the Thursday before or Wednesday before, and I couldn't do it. I held 5:35 for 1 mile and then I backed off. By the way, I've had workouts, or I had a workout where I held 5:30 pace for 10 miles throughout the workout. So it wasn't a physical capability thing, it was a rest thing or a mental thing, some other sort of thing. But the next day, I said, okay, I'm gonna do it again. Held 5:25 for 1 mile, same thing, bailed, couldn't do it. And you know what I would have done a year ago or 2 years ago? I would have said, holy cow, I'm not in 240 shape. I can't do it. All this training was for nothing. I ran too many miles. My body is too tired. My heart rate is too high. I'm so off. I know this is gonna be a terrible race. And if we're in a vulnerable mind state, because we haven't built up our confidence throughout the training block, we can fall to that. But thankfully, and I don't even know what it was, there was no secret to this. I just put that workout behind me, hit the next workout that I needed to, which was a 6 mile workout with 2 at threshold, 4 at marathon pace, and moved on. And moved on. Left that bad workout in the past and chalked it up to what it was, which was a bad workout. Vibes. That's what vibes are. We got to keep the vibes strong. know when to push, know when to pull back. Vibes. Oh man, mile 9, I'm getting a side stitch here. We don't cramp, we don't fade. Ah! All right, cruising home here, last mile. The third thing in the MVP Supwell Sicko system is pace. So what I've realized, and this sounds simple, and you may already know it, but you may not be applying it, is that there's a trade-off between mileage and pace, between volume and intensity. And we often hear, it's super windy out here, guys, but we often hear, let me flip it this way. This is usually better for the audio. We often hear that you shouldn't increase volume and intensity at the same time because there's an injury risk, and that's true. That's likely how I got injured in 2022. But for me, what I also learned this time around is that volume and mileage versus pace and intensity, there's a capability trade-off, an execution trade-off. And so if I'm banging out 23-mile long runs every weekend, which will take anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on what pace I'm doing them, I'm not going to be able to get the legs spinning as fast for my Tuesday and Thursday workouts. It's not so much an injury risk for me, because I've built up my tolerance to the mileage, but I realized going past that 2-hour 15 mark, there's going to be a trade-off come Tuesday. If I go 2:15 or 2 hours and 30 minutes on Sunday, it's going to be a lot harder or impossible for me to hit 5:30 pace on Tuesday. Meanwhile, if I do a 2-hour and 15-minute long run, I can hit a 5:15 pace for my Tuesday workout. So pace is a huge thing, and I prioritize pace this block over mileage. I ran more miles leading into Coast Guard. I hit bigger peaks. I was clipping off 120s last time. This time, I held pretty consistent, around 110, 115, and huge thing, that was mile 10, huge thing, down weeks. Cutting the mileage. I did some down weeks of 59 miles, or one down week of 59 miles, did another down week of 80 something miles, so that the next week, bang, I can spin the legs again, hit long marathon pace workouts, hit some shorter, faster workouts, which I didn't do at all last time. And I'm still not sold on the benefit of the shorter, faster workouts, but it's like taking our vitamins. Well, I don't take vitamins. It's like eating our vegetables, hitting faster than marathon pace. But pulling the mileage down, not chasing it this time, enabled me to crush pace. I could run faster because I wasn't running farther. But again, I was only able to do that and hold 100-mile weeks because I took 2 years to build up to this point. What a beautiful day.
Koros, I've got my eyes on you. bucko. I don't trust you, Koros. Deleted my marathon PR. Complete shenanigans. Can you believe that? Koros deleted my marathon PR. That's sus, bro. 10 miles in 29 hundredths of a mile. 7:13 pace. The other thing we should talk about, of course, is pace for everyday runs. So I ran a lot of my pace for everyday runs around 7 to 7:40. So recovery mileage, more around 7:40s. And every day I'd be right around 7:10 to 7:30. Maybe some days I would dip down to the 6s, but not until the end where I was feeling real sharp. So that's right. It's exactly where the paces are prescribed in the Daniels VDOT system. So if you're not familiar with the Daniels VDOT system, matter of fact, let's go inside. I'll grab this book. Gotta check the Slack real quick. Check the Slack. Are we getting blown up on Slack? Are we getting blown up on Slack? Bang. Windy City. Windy suburbs. I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah, as a newer runner, the long runs feel already hard enough. Why make them harder if we're not ready for it? We don't need to do 20 with 14 at marathon pace if we're not ready for it. And that's why earlier this year when I was trying to do that, I could hit 6 flat for 8 to 10 miles earlier this year. This wasn't a huge fitness PR for me, this training block. It was learning how to train smarter and train the right way. And so last time when I was only hitting 6:20s and 6:30s in the long run, I wasn't practiced enough at 6 flat because I didn't do those on shorter runs. So miles at race pace, doing it by itself, independently midweek, not worrying about getting a ton of mileage in those runs. And then last 2 months, last 8 weeks, baking that in to the long runs. So pace is huge, man. And that's what made the pace on race day feel so smooth. My splits were relatively even. First half was 1:19.59, 1 minute negative split. So I was controlled the whole way. I felt strong the whole way on race day. There was no periods where the pace felt too hot. And I felt I could have digged a little deeper even in the last 5K or 10, the last few miles. I probably could have pushed a little bit, but I was hanging on 550, not even hanging on. I was cruising at 550s, and that felt controlled because I'd practiced that so much during training. So that was how I ran my marathon PR. That's how you can run your best marathon PR. Last little thing we will talk about is the nutrition. So I'll go up there, make my post-run meal. I'm gonna do a whole entire separate video on nutrition. I filmed everything that I ate the week leading up into the race, so I'll be putting that out sometime within the next week as well. But mileage, to sum it up here, man, mileage, building up to a level that's comfortable and then holding that throughout the block. No crazy peaks. Yes, I hit 130 for 1 week, but that wasn't even intentional, and it wasn't about going and jumping up and hitting a huge number. For me, it was about sustained a sustained higher mileage level. That's the first thing. Second thing, vibes, knowing when to push, knowing when to pull back, and not having decision fatigue. My preparation was so dialed in. I ate the same or similar thing for breakfast before all my long runs. I slept in the same pair of pants and shirt before all my long runs to remove that decision fatigue. I fueled with the same gels and the same drink for every long run the last few months, so I didn't have to think about it. Mile 4, we're doing caffeine gel. Mile 8, we're doing non-caffeine gel. Mile 12, we're doing a caffeine gel. Mile 16, we're doing a non-caffeine gel. Mile 21, we're doing less caffeine. There was no guesswork. I was so practiced at that it was second nature to me, and I was so practiced at sucking those gels down at any pace that I didn't even have to think about it. Vibes, that's what it means when I say vibes. Making everything feel smooth, controlled, and within our capabilities, running within ourselves. So I was able to run upright, strong, with good posture, chest high on race day, because the vibes were right, because I'd practiced that so much. And the last thing, pace. Miles at race pace during training. That's the number one thing to focus on. That's the number 3 thing to focus on. Cut your mileage out, keep the vibes right, reduce the decision fatigue, and then get as many miles in at race pace as possible. Do those longer midweek tempos, and then work it in to the long runs. Shout out Jack Daniels, shout out Hanson's. Go check out the Hanson system and pick this book up if you have not already. Daniel's Running Formula, highly recommend it, and I highly recommend the Hanson's Marathon Method. That's the best marathon training book for most people. This one is a little bit more complex and better for higher mileage, but Hanson's is the one I would start with if you do not have one already. And of course, DM me with any questions on the Supple app, or post any training questions in the community. The benefit of posting versus DMing is the community can help, and people who've been in your exact position can help. So that's all I have for today down here. I'll see you tomorrow with another video, and we'll get some recovery nutrition in. I am super hungry. All right, so I'm in the office. It's 7:03 p.m. and I'm a little bummed, or not a little, I'm hugely bummed because I lost 20 minutes of footage in this video. The mic wasn't plugged in properly on the top because I was being sloppy. This is what happens when we film every day and we have the system and we just lock in and we go. I've gotten so efficient. It's like running. I've gotten so efficient at it that I don't always check everything. So unfortunately, I lost 10 minutes of footage at the beginning when I was talking about my approach to this build and how it differed from Charlotte 2022. And then I lost 10 minutes at the end. Well, I lost probably 15 minutes at the end talking about the Daniel system versus the Daniel system versus the Hanson system. Key things that I wanted to close out on that I did not get, or that I said earlier but we didn't come through, were mileage and race pace. And I'll do more videos on the training, but I just wanted to get these thoughts out today and include them in here. What I did differently this time was more midweek tempos at race pace, so shorter runs, 8 to 14 mile runs at marathon pace, instead of jumping directly into 20 mile long runs with marathon pace. So key takeaway is, if you can work in a midweek run at marathon pace, no matter what your level is, no matter what your marathon pace is, one run in the middle of the week at marathon pace to start practicing that pacing, not on tired legs, or maybe on tired legs, but in the middle of the week, not within a huge, gigantic workout where you're going to be having to hit 24 miles. Then when you get to the later stage of the training block, 20s and 22 mile long runs, that pace will feel more natural because you've done it so many times with 6, 8, 10, and 12 mile tempo. So that's why I suggested, do I have the book here? Where is the book? Must be in the other room. But that's why I suggested I have my whole stack if you want to see. This is what we're trapping out the office with all these books. But I suggested Higdon's book for that, because their system, they do Tuesday workouts faster than race pace, Thursday workouts, race pace tempo, and then on the weekends you have your long run. And it usually doesn't have, or never in the Hansen's intermediate system, never does it have race pace in there. Instead, they work up the tempos to be at race pace in the middle of the week. So that's what worked really well for me, working on race pace, practicing it in the middle of the week, so that on race day and the last month or two, throughout those longer workouts, I was extremely controlled at 6:04, 6:05 pace. I could dig and go down to 5:45 if I needed to. I had a wide range, and I could relax, settle down into 6:05, and know that I could run it for 20 plus miles without flaming out, because I'd done it so many times. So that was how I ran my best marathon. I'm going to do more training videos, so I didn't go deep into all of the training principles, all the philosophy, but building up the mileage so that you can sustain longer periods of time at race pace. And I was beating my hand into my, or fist into my hand, fist into palm, talking about miles at race pace. A lot of that got deleted, but that was the key. So mileage, building up the mileage, also getting in mileage at race pace, vibes, knowing when to push, knowing when to pull back, knowing ourselves, and keeping the vibes good by not having decision fatigue, which is what I said in there, not having to make a lot of decisions around what shoes are we going to wear, what's the nutrition strategy going to be, making the long run feel like any other run of the week, and making the marathon feel like a long run. And then pace, man, working on marathon pace, that was huge for me. So that marathon pace, and yes, pace, not effort, that was something I shifted this block, not thinking about what's my marathon effort, going down to I'm going to nail 6:05. And guess what? My marathon pace at Chicago was 6:04. So I was spot on. Miles at race pace. That's what we got to do. So miles, vibe, pace. You know what? I was thinking about this earlier. All this audio got deleted. I'm going to do more training videos. This is not my only chance to say everything, but there's a little bit of poetic justice here, because I'm talking about making mistakes, moving forward, knowing when to push, knowing when to pull back, knowing ourselves, not getting caught up in little details. So I'm going to put this out still, because I drop videos every day. We're going to have days like this. We're going to have mistakes. We're going to have sloppiness. We're going to have bad runs. We just got to keep going. And that's what it's all about. So this video isn't perfect. I'm bummed that I didn't get all of everything out in the way that I wanted to, but we will do more training videos. I am committing to bringing more training insights to this channel. I'm really glad we were able to do this, because it showed what happens when you put your mind to something. And I said this on Sunday, but this wasn't about proving anything to anybody. It was about showing what you can do when you work hard and you study and you build a system that works well for yourself. So I'm going to be sharing more of that with you all, sharing insights from my training, my learnings, how I was able to take a 40-minute PR this year. This is what I said earlier, some of the audio that got deleted when I was on the street. My PR in Charlotte, I don't know if I've said it yet in this video, in 2022 was a 3:19, and I didn't run a marathon in 2023. So I'm now sitting with a 2:39 through a lot of miles run and a lot of grit. Not everyone can run the mileage I do, but you can apply yourself. You can run more days per week. You can maximize based on your own capabilities and constraints. So that is today's video. I will do a separate one highlighting the nutrition. Matter of fact, let's go in the kitchen and look at our dinner, and then we can close it out. Bro, can you imagine how sad it would be if this audio didn't save either? That would be a legit tragedy. But this is the dinner tonight. Some tofu, keeping it simple, keeping it clean. Tofu, broccoli, and rice. Nothing can be better. I actually filmed this earlier and the audio wasn't working either 20 minutes ago because I didn't plug in the dang camera. But I was saying, this is the hobby jogger diet. It's like the bro diet for lifting. Do you even run, bro? Do you even hobby jog, bro? This is the bro diet. You have the rice, the tofu, and the broccoli. The bro diet is, I think, just grilled chicken and broccoli. But I don't eat chicken. So this is the hobby jogger diet. White rice, broccoli, and teriyaki tofu. Charlie's going to become with the bangers. And she also said she's making waffles. She's making waffles tonight for second dinner. So this is going to be fire.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us through the audio errors, the technical difficulties. But this was all about, man. We got to keep mashing every day. Might have to pop out on them in the Salmon V2s real soon.